Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you're watching or listening to this, and welcome to Link Up Leaders, your direct link to leaders in supply chain and e-commerce. My name is Lisa Kinski. I'm your producer and co-host, and joined as always by Francois Jeffrey. Francois, good afternoon. How are you doing, dear?
Good afternoon. Doing great. How are you?
Good. It sounds a lot better than yesterday.
Good.
There's much less
I
echo.
jerry-rigged. Okay, good. I jerry-rigged a bunch of pillows and blankets, and like I have blankets hanging on the walls and stuff. So hopefully it's doing a little bit better. You can't really get away from the ceilings, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, you need a ladder and a really long blanket, and then zip ties. Maybe you'd ruin the blanket. I don't know. There's a way, but I don't know if it's worth it for not being in there for very much longer.
Yeah, not too much longer. But how's your day going so far? How's the weather down there?
Gross. It is. It was glorious yesterday, and today the high is like 62 or something, which the high yesterday was like 84. So really immediate dip, and it is just rainy and it is gray.
It's kind of the same here, and I wonder if it's just an east. Well, I guess it's more so like probably from Georgia up, because seeing our guest background today and the beautiful sunny weather that they get down there in Miami. My buddy just sent me a snap earlier today of him just being by the pool. The joys of working in tech, right? He's just hanging out by the pool, just like checking his spreadsheets and whatnot. I was like, that is probably very luxurious, but I'm very jealous because it is so nice.
But yeah, how's it up there? You said it's gloomy as well.
It's gloomy. Yeah, but it's not terrible. You know, it's nice weather. It is what it is. We just got a bunch of Amazon see earlier today. That's the only time that I got to see the weather outside, like how it actually feels. But no, it's nice.
Good. Yeah. When I came home from being away this weekend, I had like 3 Amazon packages at my doorstep, and I was like, oh, my shame is here.
Oh,
it's just my spending shame is presenting itself.
Shame. What about the Earth Warrior shame?
I know.
Amazon packages.
Shut up. Hey, at least I recycle the cardboard boxes. Okay. I do recycle I either recycle them or I reuse them. So I'm trying.
Yeah. And is it fully recyclable? Like, can you recycle the tape and everything on that too, or do you have to tear that off?
It depends on the kind of tape. So the tape that Amazon uses, I believe, is recyclable because it's like a wet paper.
It's a water activated tape.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So I believe that is recyclable, but like normal packing tape, like you would get to like move, that is not recyclable. So I always am sure to take that off before I recycle anything. And even too, if I have like a bunch of envelopes, see, this is where I still get to wear my Earth Warrior badge with pride. I will peel off like the plastic window of an envelope and throw that away because that has to be thrown away. But then I still recycle the paper that is the envelope. Like I go to that level of doing it.
Yeah, so water activated tape is interesting for anyone that's listening and is working with a 3PL. That gives you the option. It's really meant to be a additional safety layer for preventing carriers from getting into your packages. And I was looking into a case study for GameStop when they were using plastic tape back in the day, and they were losing hundreds of thousands of dollars of product because carriers were reaching in. Because with plastic tape, you could just dip your hand in, but with the water activated tape, you have to like cut it open. You could see when it's been tampered with. So it's a tamper-proof method that Amazon invests hundreds of millions of dollars into. It's insane. Yeah.
Interesting. Hey, did they make you put tape on the outside of your door when you went on field trips as a kid?
Tape on the outside of our door? What?
They would put a piece of tape on the outside of a door if you had an overnight field trip to see if you left your room after lights out.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I don't remember that.
Definitely a thing they did in our school.
I don't know. I don't know if they cared about us enough. Yeah.
Well, moving on then, let's go ahead and bring on our leader of the day. We have with us Adam Shaffer. He is the president of Phelps United, a company that has many brands underneath it. The one that we're going to be focusing on today is Omni Channel Distribution, kind of talking about Prime Day, getting those supply chains ready. And yes, it is April 26th. And yes, Prime Day is in July. And yes, you need to start preparing for it now in case listeners have any of those questions.
Historically, it's in July. You never know nowadays with what Amazon wants to do, or like the curveballs they want to throw at you.
That's
so you never
true.
know.
I did Google it and find a lot of articles that gave me the same dates in July.
Like end of July.
Yeah, it was said like
Yeah.
the 18th through the 20th or something like that. And you have an in, just call your in. Just text them. Be like, hey, when's
the little birdie.
Yeah, call your bird. Anyway, let's go on ahead and bring him on. We've got Adam. Adam, how are you?
Hey, wow, that was fun listening to you. I don't know if I want to talk about Prime Day anymore. That's
Oh, what would you like to talk about instead?
No, the weather sounded good, but this tape, it made me feel really old because I don't even think they had that. When I was a kid, there was no wet tape. Like, interesting. Makes you feel old. It's like the vaccination on your arm. You can tell somebody if they have a smallpox, kind of vaccination on their arm. You both are looking at me like, we don't have that. It's because, you didn't have to get it. So you can usually tell somebody's going to be over 45 when they have that. So anyway, we can talk about
my mom
that.
had a few of them, especially traveling internationally.
Yeah, I know, and sometimes they miss. They use like broken glass to do it, but you know what I'm talking about, son.
Nope.
Okay, so same thing with wet tape, guys. So, but going back to that date you were mentioning, July 18th and 19th, I think, because everybody like goes to school on everybody else's articles, but it's absolutely not confirmed, right? So we we look in Seller Central, they'll let.
Okay, I was wondering if that was just me.
No, I think we're losing them a little bit. It's the beautiful Miami weather. It's not treating them the best right now.
Mother Nature said, don't work. Just come enjoy the sunshine. Adam, if you can still hear us, maybe if you can try and reconnect. Yeah, I mean, like you said, everybody thinks this background is fake, and it's not. When we had our intro call, I asked him too. I was like, are you outside? Where are you right now?
Yeah, that's really nice. But yeah, no, on that same point, I mean, it's interesting how Amazon sort of does things. It's, a few weeks before, I think that's when they start to trickle down from the top of just letting, their business leaders know, hey, these are what we're sort of expecting. Start reaching out to your vendors and like the first party vendors to let them know, hey, this is what we should be expecting. And this is when you should start to get your supply chain in order, which seems extremely counterintuitive, but it's because they just want to have the most prepared be able to take advantage of it at the end of the day. So I mean, that part makes sense. And hopefully we'll get him back on here. He could talk a little bit more about his insights into it.
Yeah, hopefully so. Because he was talking, one of the points of today's discussion is not only preparing your supply chain, but also getting in on those like promotions and deals, kind of discussing more about that. Because I don't know. I'm not a big Prime Day shopper. I think we've talked about this before. I'm really not. I feel like, well, I'm especially not like a big Black Friday shopper, or no, Cyber Monday. Cyber Monday is the one with all the tech. That's not really my thing. I will buy some stuff, on Prime Day if it's something I've been maybe, hemming and hawing about for a while, but I'm not just like, go drop a bag on Prime Day on any and everything that I think is a good deal. Adam, can you hear us? Are you back?
We have him back.
Yeah, but that is so weird. Once I lost my internet, and it was because my wife didn't understand that when she pulled the plug out of, the router, that it might affect the internet. So I'm like, why would you pull the plug on the internet?
It's the iguanas. They probably chew through them.
Yeah, no, so I don't know. But anyway, I really am happy to be back and great to be with you guys again.
We're happy to have you back.
So we were talking about that date. I'm sorry about that. That's embarrassing. But I mean, we'll find out soon enough. But, they will let you know at the last minute. You're right. They always could be a curveball. But right now it seems like it's Monday and Tuesday, July 18th and 19th.
Okay.
When do they typically let you know?
It's soon, like around now. It should be happening because you do need to get products up there. It's super important. Plus, the other thing is if you want to book certain advertising, so that's where the big money is for them. So they'll start to open the window, and that's when you'll know for sure that the dates are what they're going to be. Because if you want to book a lightning deal or something like that, you need to be first in line, and you need to be able to pony up the money.
Okay, and I have lots of questions about that, but before we dig in, because I can see us going down the rabbit hole immediately.
Yeah. And then also, I don't want to get cut off again by the internet in case there is a
Right? And you had said you were like, that's embarrassing. It's like, no, what's embarrassing is when I'm in the middle of introducing a guest and then I lose my internet, which has happened multiple times. And I even made sure to be on the Stronger network before this, but it wasn't working this morning. So we'll see what happens. But Adam, please tell us, how did you get into the wonderful world of Amazon and all of the brands that you own and just e-com in general, and working outside in nature and paradise?
Yeah, well, working outside of nature is just, I've gotten very lucky about where I live and the fact that you can sit outside if you have shade. And COVID actually helped a little bit, although it's a horrible thing, but it pushed people to work remote. And I was in California 3 weeks of a month, so that was not a lot of fun. And that's where our headquarters is. But I've been in the industry for 30 some odd years. I mean, I know I look very young and bald, but been, kind of from the direct marketing business, which was mailing envelopes with offers in them to people, and they would mail them back in or maybe phone call you back in. And we were also in the catalog business selling technology products. And if you remember, well, you might not remember, but a company called Mac Warehouse, it was the biggest seller of Apple products. And so that was probably one of the biggest direct marketing companies at the time, and then ultimately became the first selling on the internet, direct to consumer, direct to business. And really what that did, it kind of brought direct marketing to a new speed. It was the same kind of practice, except it was happening super fast. Instead of waiting 2 weeks to get a result, you can get a result within a few hours. And so we really loved it, and we jumped right on, and we were one of the largest direct-to-consumer internet sites. But we didn't have Shopify, so we spent millions of dollars. That was completely wasted, because after a year it was obsolete and we had to build the next one. So life is a lot better now, and I love Shopify. But from there I got more into e-commerce, ran a few large resellers that sold computer and technology products. So fast forwarding to one great break in the action was working for Maxim magazine. After one of our businesses was sold, there was a non-compete for a couple of years, and the group that owned this business that was sold also owned Maxim magazine, and there was a non-compete on every single thing except for girl magazines or something like that. So I was able to do that, and I did brand extensions there, which were where I spent a lot of time working with brands and all the things they worry about and think about. And whether it's a cool and edgy brand, they still worry about that brand and the value of that brand. And so you have this great direct marketing discipline, combined with the understanding of what brands really care about. And then a company that I was with, a large public company, got acquired by another large public company. And I'm done with the large companies. Like, it's not, I can't go back. I want to sit in the backyard in California. No, in Miami. So I met these folks that were in the Amazon business, but really not representing brands. They were kind of representing products that they could find and sell and make some money on. So they became really, really good at managing products and selling products and navigating Amazon. And it's something that if you don't do every single day, you can't stay up with it. So if you've done it for a year or two, and then you take 6 months off, the world has changed radically. So they had a core competency on managing Amazon and then other marketplaces. In my life as a big reseller, we had stores on Amazon at the very beginning and on Walmart at the very beginning, and it was a big business, but it was really hard to make money as a pure reseller. So the big thing was that brands needed help on Amazon. Brands sold to Amazon and sometimes liked the experience, or they liked the volume, but they didn't like the profits they were making. They didn't like the control they had on the brand. They didn't like the fact that they built the channel for 20 years of very loyal sellers and partners, and then overnight they're the enemy of them because their products are being sold below what they would pay on Amazon. And so almost every brand I talk to has some issue, whether it's the pricing, the brand integrity, the logistics, the margin that they make on Amazon. And it's the most amazing platform, because if you think about it, $600 billion in gross merchandise value gets sold on Amazon.
Wow.
And growing. And when you look at the sellers that sell to the 1P side of the house, meaning 1P direct to Amazon, and 3P is an independent store, selling on Amazon and competing many times with Amazon. The business is growing faster than most, but the 3P part of the business is bigger and growing even faster than 1P. So that 600 billion, like 65% is 3Ps, and there's about 2 million of them. But there's probably like, I don't know, a few thousand that are the tip of the spear where all the action is happening. Then there's a lot of mom and pop. So, I saw this huge industry with a big problem, and the problem is you need to be great at every single discipline to do a really good job on Amazon. Of course, you can get lucky and knock it out of the park for a while, but somebody will see and they will notice the sales with all the great software that's out there to try and figure it out, and they're going to try and knock you down and take over your spot. So we're here to help brands accelerate on Amazon. And it happened to be technology at the beginning because that's who we knew. We grew up with these manufacturers, and we knew of the problem they had because they would talk about it all the time. And we would complain to them when we would see their products on Amazon below. So we were some of the guys that used to complain to them. So, it really resonates with them, and we accelerate brands. So if you want to put us in a category, we're a brand accelerator. We're not a brand aggregator. We don't go around buying private labels and rolling them up. We're on the other side of the coin, which is, I actually think, it's a bit easier because starting something from zero and taking it to a known brand is hard to do. Heavy lifting. Margins are a bit higher there, but if you can get a brand that is a good brand, great quality, and there's people at the company that really want to grow on Amazon, you can knock it out of the park.
Fabulous.
The difference with us, and I'm going to call them brand accelerators, is that we have a couple of different business models, and there's a few like us. And the big difference between us, which we do all the agency work, full service agency in every different discipline, but we buy and sell the product. So instead of you selling products to Amazon, you don't sell it to Amazon, you sell it to us. And if they're selling it to Amazon and they're happy and that's what they want to do, great, but we just don't want to sell against Amazon. It just doesn't ever make sense. So we're there to be part of their company, an extension of their company, and we make money on the margin, and we do all the other stuff to make it work.
And is that omni-channel or is that solely?
Yes, it's omni-channel. So going back to the brand, to confuse the hell out of everybody, Omni Channel Distribution is our go-to-market brand for e-commerce marketplaces. So today, we have 30 plus brands that we're managing, about 1,000-ish SKUs, and we ended the year close to 70 million in revenue and over 100 million run rate, and that's from growing with brands and earning our stripes every day and continuing to take more and more of their product lines over for them. So you kind of start with a couple to get things going, and then you earn your stripes, you get a lot of trust, people know how to work together, and they see that they're making more money and the products are growing, and it's much more transparent, and their resellers aren't calling them up being angry that people are lowering the price, and we get more lines. So you got to be good to get more. We've never lost a brand.
That's awesome. That's stellar. And so I want to go back to kind of where I cut you off before. Apologies for that.
I can't remember. Was that the Iguana or the Prime Day? So.
Back to what you mentioned about Prime Day and getting in on the lightning deals, because we definitely want to talk about preparing your supply chain for Prime Day. But I think that kind of plays a big deal of it is if you're able to get in on the deals and on the promotions, you have to factor that into your supply chain preparation. So maybe let's start there. You said soon Amazon's going to be, well, one, letting us know for sure when Prime Day is, and two, opening up the deals.
They'll open up the ability. No, they're opening up the ability for you to to book lightning, special advertising with them, so lightning deals.
Okay.
But the cost of these things go up. It's like, Nielsen ratings in television, like, it's going to be the big day. So to put it in perspective, going back to Prime Day, the original topic, although I could talk about anything else, the Prime Day is the biggest day of the year, 2 days of the year, and it's bigger than Cyber Monday. And I don't think a lot of people know that, but I think the sellers mostly know that that's a big day. So you think about all the preparation that goes into the holidays, right? And the holidays do last for a long time, but you do have your Super Bowl of, that Black Friday and Cyber Monday and that, few days following. This was, I think, like 11.2 billion or some monster number. And it's not like Cyber Monday isn't big, but it's sub 11. It's pretty close, but so that was last year. So it's slightly more than Cyber Monday. So if you want to take advantage of the extra volume, and some people might not be able to because they don't have enough product, like it could be like, okay, this year we're not going to do anything, we're going to focus on margin, and that could be a great strategy, because if you're going to sell it all, do it. But if you have product and you want to get into the game, take advantage of it. But I don't think of it as just getting ready for Prime. I think it's just good practice to. It's like in school, you were always, maybe not you guys, because you're very smart, but a lot of us were always really behind until the midterm, and it was like the midterm forced you to catch up and study and know everything. All the things you said, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. No, you finally do it, and now you kind of prepare yourself as you stay up all night to cram for the test, and same with the finals. Well, this is kind of the midterm, right? The midterm, because we get the finals with the holiday at the end of the year. And these are just great things you should be doing all the time. So if you can get the discipline, instead of it being, twice a year, you should be doing this every quarter, every month, every couple of weeks, and making sure that you're checking the box on everything. Because like I said earlier, you got to be great at everything. And if you're not great at everything, you have to find somebody that is great to help you. Because with 2 million sellers, and you listen to the way people talk and think about their product, they're like their babies. And the smallest detail is important to the conversion rate. The magic of a keyword that they find, or a group of words, is a big deal. So if you don't think about it like that, somebody else is, and they're going to beat you.
Yeah, I mean, there has been this topic of conversation over the past few years of supply chain management, and particularly with us being in supply chain, you hear it pretty often from businesses. And I feel like it's been shifting towards supply chain resiliency, which is very exciting, because that means it's just a more mature market. What sort of conversations are you having with your clients around supply chain and supply chain resiliency?
Well, I mean, it's an ongoing discussion, because so much of the stuff is built overseas, and also it's not just that it's the slow boats and the expensive containers. It's the fact that many of the parts that products are made with are harder to get. So you have the perfect storm of too much stuff, not too much demand for what they have, shortages on certain chips, on not just chips but parts in general, and so the whole thing is plan ahead and make sure that you have multiple suppliers where you can, and if you can't, it's a problem. But say you're working with a brand and it's not really in your control, their supply chain isn't in control, start forecasting with them much earlier than you normally would, and they will do it. The more mature brands will do it because they get it. The younger brands, you gotta, they're gonna want to do things maybe last minute, and you gotta try and be their partner and work with them and explain, what do you have in the US now? What do you have coming in? What was last year's results? Let's put some type of forecast together. And if you're not going to have that product, what are we going to replace it with, if anything? Because the beauty of some of these manufacturers are they have multiple products. It's not just one. When it's a one-hit wonder, it makes it much more difficult. But, so it's like, okay, let's go promo heavy on that, and not on the other one. You're not going to get it. And the one thing that we offer, outside of all this help and advice and math that we could help them do, and some of them are more sophisticated than others, is that it could take weeks and weeks to get your products up to FBA, and you guys obviously know this. And there's the cost of getting it up there, depending on how big it is and how it's going to be shipped. But what happens when you think you actually cut enough time for this stuff, and you thought it was going to take 3 weeks or 2 weeks? I think it used to take 10 days, and it's a month and a half. Like, there's still products I'm looking for to show up as sellable up there, and it's got to be over a month. So people say, no, it's like really a week now. It's like, I don't think so. I think it depends. It depends on from where, the size, what warehouses they're trying to get it to, how busy, and then what happens when somebody cuts the packaging open and they lose the product because they can't figure out where it goes. I don't know if you've seen that, but that happens. We sent up 1,000 and only 50 made it into stock. Where's the rest? And you have to wait X amount of months for your to open a window for you to be able to file a case. And so I think the thing is, start earlier and then find a partner that has the capability to ship in outside of FBA and still be able to have a Prime badge show on your product. So not everybody has, and it's harder and harder to get. It's harder and harder to keep, really. It's seller fulfilled Prime. And seller fulfilled Prime is the ability to ship from your warehouse, and it will show Prime or have a Prime badge on the product. And great. So now, kind of a hybrid approach. Hits our warehouse, it's in stock and it's sellable on Amazon that minute, and it's Prime if you want it to be. If you don't want it to be Prime, then it could just be normal, but it's available. And we start shipping the stuff up to Amazon, but we're holding back product to make sure that it stays in stock. So now you could still participate in promotions. If you could do promotions, you could still sell, and you're not going to be late. And the second it's available up there and it shows that the quantity is available, we'll start moving more stuff up there. And so we have this hybrid approach to, if you want seller fulfilled Prime, it's there. It's there for you to use, stay in stock, but there is a little bit more cost to it because Amazon's rates are still awesome no matter what, even with their 5% increase.
That was my next question. Even with the increase.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's nothing. I try. If you try to squeeze everything into like a US number 10 envelope, like a US mail number 10, which it's hard to put, computer speakers and monitors and that stuff.
Sure.
But if you're going to be SFP or seller fulfilled Prime, it's got to be 1 and 2 day delivery, and there's a ratio. But if you're going to send it up to Amazon and take advantage of that, and you compare the difference between what you would pay for the same service level, we sell these big, beautiful speakers. Unfortunately, they're heavy, like a boat anchor, and it'll cost them. They charge us $20, right? Like, that's our Prime flat rate. You're not going to get a flat rate from yours. You're going to pay zones. So you said my cheapest zone for ground will be $25, but my most expensive zone might be $100. And so you get average out like $30-$40 more than Amazon, and you're just never going to beat them, even for straight ground, compared to their shipping. So we like FBA for all the wonderful things it does for even with the 5%, which we don't like, but still better because you're still getting fuel surcharges from your carriers anyway. They're doing it all the time. So yeah, I don't know if I got you to where you wanted on the resilience, but it's really plan ahead. If you have multiple suppliers, but go early. What sucks about going early also is, if you're smaller, it's tying up cash. You're thinking, oh, I'm going to be able to turn this stuff faster and turn it into cash. But now you're having to bulk up on inventory and basically keep it in stock longer and own it longer. And what happens when you add another 3 weeks or 4 weeks to your cash flow cycle on that? It's a pain in the ass. But sorry.
You're good. Are you finding that the brands that are maybe smaller and waiting until the last minute and not really planning as far ahead are still those that are running it kind of as a side business or a side hustle as opposed to a full-time?
I think it's a mix. I mean, some of them, sometimes it's like, if it's small, they might not have had the money to get it, or they might not have the pull with their manufacturers to get it, and somebody else jumps in front of them. They don't know what's going on out there. And on the bigger brands, it's like, big businesses can move slow sometimes, and then they might stay on their normal cycle, but the world is not at their cycle anymore, so they haven't built enough cushion in theirs. So what we see a lot is that they get some product up there, but then we get a phone call saying, oh my God, when we said that we love selling it to Amazon or we do it ourselves, can you just take these 4 SKUs because we don't have them in stock up there? We need it. So I was like, yeah, sure, great. and during the pandemic, I mean, it was actually awesome. Not the pandemic, although I get to work remote, but what happened is that there was a moment, you'll remember, where Amazon stopped taking in inventory unless you were an essential product, or if you were a 1P, they stopped placing orders unless you were an essential product. And so what the hell do you do once you run out of stock and your products are at FBA? Many don't have a way to ship from their own facilities, and they're not set up with a 3PL. But how do you sell anything prime? So the number one product in one category who has their own 3P and they kill it, and we've wanted to sell their stuff with them for a long time, all of a sudden calls us up and said, hey, we got 10,000 of these things coming in. There's no way we can get them to Amazon. Can you help us? And we knew it was going to be temporary, but for 3 months, I've never seen products move that fast in my life. And we had to ship it from our warehouse, which was like another, thing, because the very, very, very high velocity stuff, you try to get up to Amazon. You don't want to be doing that if you don't have to. But this was like, and it did. They took it back. It was a sad day, but it was. We did what they needed. We kept them in stock. We kept their ranking. They still were the bestseller. They didn't lose anything by it, and they probably gained a lot by it, because when everybody was out of stock, they probably stole, and got some new customers.
And when we're talking about these promotions that are going to be opened up for sellers for Prime Day, do you have to have a certain on-time rate for, I guess maybe not on-time rate for delivery, maybe if you're using a 3PL, but are there any certain kind of metrics you have to hit to be able to sign up for certain levels of promotions?
Well, I mean, I think the basic stuff is like, how long has the product been around for? And I could be wrong because the parameters change a bit, but it's how long has the product been around for? What's been the average selling price for the past X weeks or something? And they look back at that, because if you're not going to promote it at a price that's X percent lower, and I don't exactly know the percent lower right now, so it just can't be it's this thing that it was selling at $9.99 last week, we bring it up to $12.99, and then we want to get a lightning deal and sell it for $9.99. They're gonna go, no, what's the average of that? And then it's got to be 20% lower or whatever it is. And so and if it's a new unproven product with no reviews, they're not going to do it. So my team would probably know the latest on that, which we can help you with, and I'll pretend I know it, but it's definitely not anybody. And the prices go up, so you have to come to terms with, if the cost of acquiring that order is X, does it really make sense? And for some it will, if it's a product that, like a supplies product or something that could be replenishable. But sometimes it's not, because there's just, why would I pay that much money? I'll wait, and I don't have enough margin in that. But if you acquire a new customer, it's like the old days, and they're going to buy the product monthly, and you're the manufacturer, that could be a good deal.
Yeah, it makes sense. It would also make sense for them to take a look at, particularly as it's been top of mind for, I think, a lot of businesses, the IPI score, and just seeing how you've been managing inventory, and if you have enough inventory in FBA, or you've been fulfilling FBA quick enough and on time with your shipping plans. Because Lisa came up with a great acronym. It would be an acronym, right? Not too long ago, but we go by the 3 W's. Working, something's always being manufactured or in production. Water, something's always traveling to your warehouse, and the last thing is warehouse. You have enough stock in your warehouse to actually sell. I imagine they look at, hey, how quickly can you replenish all these items as you're growing, and can you keep up with even a lightning deal?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's at least another topic. But did you trademark that? Can I take it? But the www, the web guys are going to use that. But anyway, I mean, they look at that, and what's interesting now is that there's and it would always get me so angry, because you love Amazon because they created this marketplace that feeds so many families and people start businesses, a lot of lives, but then they don't have inventory, and they're in stock somehow, and their products are available on Amazon, and they have the buy box, and I'm like, how can that be? They don't have it. I can't do that. But then the head start products started coming, where if you had a good replenishment process for a regular basis, they would start letting your products before they were at Amazon be available. It might not have a 2-day shipping date, but it'll be available for people to buy. And you go to a lot of websites where you could place orders for things and go on back order. Well, Amazon, you got to be in stock, and so Amazon does it, but now they let others do it, and they are selective on that. But it's based on what you're saying. It's based on an algorithm of how often and how fast they replenish their products. Now, if they see that you have it in the pipe already and it's coming up to FBA, you're a good partner, a good 3P, they'll make it available when it's X days away. And then they'll put some stupid date like 5 months, but it'll make it available, and then it'll change. All of a sudden you get an email. It's like it's supposed to be here in like June, and it's being delivered today. But they're now doing it where you don't actually have it up going there yet, and it's based on your score that they create for you. So I think that they do look at that.
Yeah, and that's really where it's so important to have a trusted 3PL partner, where, I know particularly 2-3 years ago, pre-pandemic, so many companies were relying on this just-in-time manufacturing, where they were just shipping things to the warehouses, and let's say it gets to a port warehouse, and they would just cross-dock it directly from there to the Amazon FBA warehouses. Nowadays, that just seems like it's a thought of the past. You have to have a partner that can store inventory and replenish as needed, and be able to go omni-channel. Like you said, you had that one client that you were able to sell for them for 3 months at the very least, but they had to have inventory here. They couldn't have it in Amazon FBA. It just seems like it's
and
more.
They couldn't have it at a port. They couldn't have it in China. Like they
Right.
So that's why they need Noviland, man. That's why.
We try to be the right solution for, and not every partner, and we admit this whenever we have our onboarding call, not every partner is the right partner for you. Right. I mean, particularly if you're starting out and, you're looking for something smaller, maybe getting it to your garage or getting it to a very small storage space in your local city that you can replenish is perfectly fine. But going on the topic, you were touching a little bit earlier, or at least you said you love Shopify. That and I know it's veering off of Prime Day a little bit, but how do you see companies reacting to Prime Day with their Shopify stores? Are they reducing their ad spend?
Well, no, I don't think. I think it's a mixed bag, really, always, because there's the folks say, oh, I'm not going to get any reach, any conversion, because they're, but oh no, did I lose you guys again? Oh no, you panned it.
Nope, just solo mode. Sorry.
Okay. Oh well. Okay.
I'll bring you back though. We'll stay all three.
No, I know. I was worried about the iguana. So, I think that everybody has a different strategy. I think that not just Amazon advertising, but off Amazon advertising is really expensive, because Amazon's buying so much of it. Now all the other manufacturers or brands are buying it to push to Amazon, but then all the Shopify folks are buying it. So I think that everything just goes up. But Shopify, there's other reasons I love it, but I think that Prime Day is like holiday, in the sense that Walmart, the other marketplaces, Target, Newegg, if you're into the technology products, everybody's trying to do a promotion to make some noise that day or those days, and so you kind of should be participating, because it's a big shopping day, and not everything is on Amazon. And even if it is, some people, want to buy somewhere else, or, maybe it is a little cheaper somewhere else, because Amazon hasn't seen it in their algorithm yet, and, they haven't lowered the price to destroy your brand. So I think you got to be everywhere. And the Shopify, what's amazing about Shopify is that if they would have had that when we started, even, 10 years after we started doing direct to consumer sites, I mean, we had so much effort, money, infrastructure to do one payment method like PayPal. It would be a year of just pain and suffering, and they have it all like built in. You want a firm, it's here. It's just awesome. And so anybody, all of us, you're probably like a super engineer or something, you can do all this stuff, but for like the marketing guys, like, we could do this now. It's so cool. And it's there. So I think that everybody in the world should be selling their stuff on Shopify and drop shipping it if they wanted to from Amazon or Noviland.
He is a super smart engineering guy.
I
I
wish.
mean, I
I
definitely,
wish. No.
I get that vibe, man. I get it. So,
Well, yeah, we had someone on yesterday actually from
Mhm.
Amped, and they were talking particularly about offline advertising, particularly Google Ads, leading into Amazon, directly to Amazon listings, and how they can use that particularly for Amazon to start to boost your rankings as they see external traffic coming in. You're getting the 10% referral bonus back too. I mean, he said in some cases you could even be making money or have a negative ACOS on just the Google ad spend.
Sure. I know that's, but I mean, I love the AMP guys, but I mean, I think that's cool if you can do it, and mathematically it probably is. But I think that what's happened is that to get higher, SEO rankings, believe it or not, bringing in outside advertising is important to, Amazon. Why is it important to Amazon? Because then it's not going to Shopify. Also, they want to grow their traffic, right? So it's growing their traffic, and they see, Shopify is a threat most likely, and they should look as a threat. I mean, Shopify could be and morph into other things. So, they are concerned about it. And so I hate buying Google AdWords because Amazon and Walmart are spending a fortune. Like, it's just bidding up the pricing. But you need to do it, and you should do it, and you have to have a good mix. But you also bringing up advertising. There's so much new advertising, and that's another reason you need a partner. So you need partners for the logistics, and then you need partners to help you with the advertising and know all the new stuff, and somebody that's optimizing it and understanding what competitors are doing and keywords work. But the video advertising that's going on, on Amazon, offsite too, but on Amazon is so important. The conversion rates are better, but not everybody can go create their video, even if it's really a novice video. It's not in their wheelhouse, and understanding how that works, understanding how to place it, understanding how to work with throughout brand registry. There's a lot of moving parts, and even now social media and the social media micro influencers is a big deal. So where I don't even think anybody thought of that 3 or 4 years ago on Amazon. Now it's huge. Do you do an Amazon Live and get somebody to help you do a streaming, or all these things you might want to try, and some of them could really help and really, enhance your brand, your conversion rates. Do you do it during Prime Day? I think you got to have it in your mix, and, test and keep on testing it and see what works. But it's funny, there are brands that are good to spend 30% on, cost to acquire or ACOS, and, electronics, unless you're launching a new product, if you're spending more than 5%, you're doomed.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more people going live for Prime Day this year. Because to my recollection, I wasn't even really hearing about Amazon Live last year around this time.
Now it's like on the homepage as soon as you get in.
Exactly. That's the second you get there. And I always thought it was strange. It's looking a little more curated now, but it always felt strange to me that I was seeing Amazon Lives for like gaming stuff, because that's not who I'm not the gaming consumer. I've never bought a gaming console or even like an Xbox game or anything like that. So I always thought it was weird, but it's looking a little more curated now. So
what kind of things are you buying? Like, are you buying like health and beauty kind of stuff, or?
Honestly, I'm mostly buying kids products. I have 10 nieces and nephews, so I'm constantly buying like a baby shower gift or
that's probably
a first birthday.
They see kids and they're like, oh, games.
But I'm buying like baby stuff, and they're pushing me like I said, like Xbox stuff, like gaming headsets. Like even my nephew, he's 10. I don't buy him stuff like that because I don't want him being sucked into the games all day long. It's just my own personal agenda. Anyway, but yeah, it's interesting to see it more curated. But I mean, I am on a repeat subscription for one beauty item, and then other than that, yeah, it's mostly kids stuff.
Because that kind of stuff, and it does skew sometimes younger, but not always. But like replacement fingernails is a big deal. Like the stuff that you might see on TikTok or YouTube, like it shows up there, or like a lot of beauty products would do well there. Jewelry is doing well there, because it's a kind of visual thing that you want to see and make sure, because that's a really hard thing to buy. You see it and then you get it, it's like this kind of big, and
Yeah.
So I think that I love it. I think the more video, the better, but it means you got to step up your game, and the cost of building all this stuff, because there's a lot more tools, is coming down. But can you think about whether you're a brand or a private label? It's not like Amazon's going to go do all this for you. All they're going to want is give me the money, give me the money. But how do you organize all this stuff, especially if you're a brand that's too small for Amazon to even want to work with? So even if maybe you want to sell to Amazon, you think that's going to be your answer, which maybe it could be. They can't do all this stuff. So, and then they hire agencies, and agencies some of them do a great job, but it's all about how much are the fees. What are the fees going to be? Because how much time can we spend? We have to put people on this, and for us, it's more about how much can we sell, because we're going to make money from selling the products. So we want the stuff great. We want to beat the competition. We want the bad citizens that are selling on Amazon, that are selling below map and are unauthorized, off, because we want to sell it for the minimum advertised price. We'll call it the list, and we make the spread. We make the margin after the Amazon fees. So it's like we have skin in the game. So a lot of agencies don't. And I'm not saying they're bad, because you need them for their expertise, but it's almost, I'd rather have a partner that's kind of invested with me, and that's how we feel. So not saying that's the greatest thing in the world, because we like to get money for not buying things and just make pure margin, but it's not always that way.
Well, on the topic of advertising, one thing that I've always been curious about is, do you see companies investing in advertising now to be able to retarget them or remarket to them when Prime Day comes around?
I mean, I think generally, even off Amazon, like getting as many people to come and drop a cookie if it exists, or to be caught by Amazon, you definitely want it to be there. I mean, it's amazing how many retargeted Amazon ads I get, because they don't realize I'm not necessarily shopping for it. A lot of times I am, but I'm looking at our the products we sell, and I'm getting all this stuff. So it's like, why not? I think there's so much. There's top of funnel, but everybody really wants to convert, right? Yeah, that's the beauty and fun of it. But you got to do the mix. I mean, I used to be purely, what's the offer? Yeah, I want to convert. What's my conversion rate? But life isn't always like that, and it does come down to, if it's a one and done, you have to have a different strategy than it's coffee that they buy every month or every 3 weeks. That if they love your brand, that's a customer you're going to have for a long time. And then there's the brands that are sold in Omni Channel, so they're sold at retail. And so if I hook somebody on Amazon, or I hook them at retail, if I hook them to my brand, I'm kind of going to get them. So you kind of have to look at a different equation. It's like, how much will we get from a customer that buys our brand, that likes our brand, no matter where they buy? And you kind of need Amazon as part of that, that marketing approach. And I know folks in, like the health drink business, not like the stuff that blows your head up, but like the plant-based drinks.
Yeah.
And like, they're well distributed at retail, and they know that for every bottle they sell on Amazon, like X more, the business grows at retail. They also, so they feel like we're really acquiring somebody that's in love with our brand. Definitely. Unless they drink it and they get sick, and then they won't buy it anywhere. But that's
exactly.
That's why you have to have a good brand.
And we've got a comment I'm going to give a shout out to. Ryan Kramer showing us some love, saying, I feel primed and ready to go now after this episode. Great content as always. Ryan, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Oh, we love great content. And it's hard.
It is.
It is hard. Except for Ryan.
Do you guys do? Ryan's a genius, obviously, but you have to be a creative master, because we a lot of us just get the manufacturer's pictures, right? Like, unless you're a private label and you're shooting them yourself, sometimes still. But you get that and you're like, that's great for like some old sales slick, but that's not showing it in use, or, you're not. And if it's a more complicated one, how do you assemble it? Show how easy it is, give help. And do you guys make, any of the videos or the pictures? You do that stuff?
No, that's not part of what we do.
It's hard, because the good ones that do it think about the persona of the customer and who you selling to. I mean, stuff that some people just like, come on, like, I don't care. Like, is that really going to matter? Is that going to really help? And the thing is, if it helps a little bit, and you're going to spend, a few $100s more for a photograph or a set of photographs, but you're going to have that product up for, more than a year. Geez, do it.
Oh yeah.
It's super important. And
Yeah,
you're supposed to tell a story.
It's worth the investment. We were just talking to Vanessa Hung about this. She's like, look, when you're making your creative and when you're making these product images, she's like, what would you use a griddle for? Asking, us this question. I was like, pancakes and bacon. She's like, right. But if you're trying to sell to the Hispanic community, which was the nature of our conversation last week, she's like, more often than not, it's not going to be used for pancakes and bacon. It's going to be used for tortillas. So just make that creative, have it ready to go. And then you're speaking to that audience. It's worth the investment. And you're reaching 70 million people, she said, in an untapped market.
70 million Hispanics or Spanish speaking Americans or Spanish speaking people in the US that use Amazon. One thing that we haven't really gotten to, and I think is very important, particularly as Amazon's going to start to tell everyone to get ready for Prime Day, is how do you set up your supply chain infrastructure when you're starting to go downstream to Amazon? Are you starting to ship in larger amounts of inventory, even if you know you're not going to sell until Prime Day now?
Is it a seasonal product or is it not a seasonal product? Like if it's like summer wear, probably not. If it's something that is a product like, a hard good that's going to, go the distance and I'm going to be able to sell it again in the holiday, I would, as long as maybe I work to extend payment terms, which a lot of the overseas is cash. And so you can. So it comes down to what you can afford. If you can afford it and there's enough margin that it's worth tying up your cash, and that you pretty good chance it's going to sell through, bring in extra. But if it's going to go dead, because it's not something you can sell in the winter, if it's something that's, but then you got holiday, maybe some of the stuff will sell there because people go on vacation, but it's not enough for, if it's a holiday thing only, I don't know, like, is that going to do well on Prime Day? Maybe it'll do well. So I'd probably load up. I really think it comes down to past history, the vendors you work with overseas or wherever you're getting it, some of the issues you've had earlier in the year, and making the decision, do we have enough cash to tie up? I feel good. This will sell for the next 6 months or 8 months. Should I load up or not? But I'm always scared to do that. I'm also sometimes scared to give some, you pay for products in different ways. And, sometimes it's when it gets to our warehouse. Sometimes it's when it hits the port. Sometimes we try to, get terms with them, but not everybody is going to get terms, and the smaller companies won't.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the ordering ahead of time and how much you keep on hand is just making me think too about like, all right, what am I purchasing on Amazon frequently? And I have a face care product that I have on subscription. It's a hyaluronic acid, but stuff like that does go bad. Well,
I think anything with an expiry date, you got to be really careful. I mean, it's a great point.
I mean, what considerations do they have to take? Because if they do have a product, maybe, I don't know, maybe like a supplement, but like anything topical for sure, like, y'all, sunscreen does go bad. And you can break out in a rash of using too old of sunscreen.
That's where they need So Stocked with Chelsea Cohen.
Yeah. I like that product. Yeah.
How many plugs can we give in one episode?
Yeah, no, but that's great for them. But So Stocked is great. But no, it's a really, really good point, because not all products are the same in that way too. If it's a product like, I don't know, like a docking station for a computer, as long as that technology you are confident is going to be around with those kinds of ports for the next, year,
sure,
then go for it. Especially if it's hard to get and you can get it, because if you could block others from getting any supply, that's great. But I think there, something that expires. That's why we actually haven't gotten into like the grocery stuff. Like I'm sure it's great, except that is really hard to manage. I don't know how the people that do it and do it well do a great job, but I think that's really complicated.
Oh, cold chain is extremely complicated, because then you were also competing with what a lot of people don't know is when the vaccine started to roll out, the cold chain was competing with the vaccines that were needed to be transported through the cold chain at the same time. And with all the emphasis being on that, that just started backing up anything that had an expiration date. But I mean, even something as simple as beds, roll up mattresses, not simple, but they even have an expiration date, 6 to 12 months of being in the box. Otherwise, they just don't start to inflate again. So it's important, particularly as you develop products and as you start to add in all these new features, to know, hey, I'm developing this for the short term, but what happens in the long term? Is this going to keep up in a hot 40-foot container for 2-3 months? Is it going to keep up in a warehouse for 6 to 8 months?
I think it's a great point, and I didn't know. Maybe that's why I didn't like the purple mattress I got for my kid, because maybe I should have checked the tape. I didn't know that one. That's a good one. And one thing, our guys did a great job of, and again, this is for Prime Day, but it's a kind of a draft of what we're gonna put up on our site for people to grab. But it's like the checklist of all the things you should go through, and it's like pre-Prime Day, at Prime Day,
Love it.
what do you do after Prime Day? But this could be, it's like traction. Like, we should be doing this once a month. Let's go through this drill of going through all these things, and a bunch of it is, what is the advertising plan? Pull out last year's results, and if you have them, and are you doing pricing coupons? Are you doing any super deals? Did you do your video yet? Blah 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 blah. So I mean, I'll send you guys a copy of this. We're about to
Please
publish it. I still have it on a Word doc, but it's I think it's great, and you can add to it if does it expire? I mean, it's a great thing to do. But I mean, can you imagine the reviews you're going to get if you actually started shipping some of that stuff that was over, bad eggs?
Past expiration. Oh, yeah. Well, that's a great transition kind of into the close of the episode. You said you're fixing to publish that on your site. Where?
Yeah, I'll be on the site.
Okay.
It's a very simple URL to remember. It's omnichanneldistribution.com. I'm not going to spell it out for you. And I promise you, we have like the bit.ly version of it coming out, but OCD.com, they wanted like $3 million for it. So either we're changing the name of our company, but it's omnichanneldistribution.com. And, even if people want to talk and just get advice, we obviously love talking about the business. It's really addicting, and it's like solving a puzzle. Like if you're into doing puzzles, get a really important SKU, delisted by Amazon because somebody wants to torture you and made it's counterfeit or whatever that, the heck they sent up there. It's amazing how quickly something that you might have $3 million of inventory sitting at Amazon could get delisted that you've been selling for years. Like, so whatever it is, there's communities that you guys all can go to, and I'm sure you guys are part of, where people kind of help each other, because so much of this stuff is so gray, and how you say it and who you say it to, or saying it to 20 different people till somebody gets does what you want them to do. There's so much weird stuff, and it's because it must be so hard to scale this thing and to get everybody on the same page all the time. So it's they do everything they can to automate, which is great, but some of the human touch goes away for sure. And then one thing you also touched on of how much inventory, if you don't have a place to store the inventory and keep on rolling it up to Amazon, you might not have the space. It used to be, when we got in the biz, to send everything to Amazon. They're your store, they're your 3PL. And now it's only send us what we're going to let you fit, and it's based on your score, and it's based on the bigger stuff and the smaller stuff. And so we try to make sure that we have volume and all the size categories, and we have a lot of space. But if you're new, and say you're a company that is selling a lot of stuff that fits in these small boxes, but not in the bulk, and all of a sudden you have a new product that's big, or vice versa, you might not have the big space available. Yes, we'll let you fit 20. So what do you do? Because it's hard to roll up when they really minimize your space. So that's something where you need a place to store it here, or you need somebody to help you that has more, space.
Gotcha.
I don't know if you run into that, but you must, has to come up.
He would know more about that than I would.
No, we do all the time. It's a big topic of conversation. We were just talking to Matt Snyder over at Very, and he was telling us about the size, obviously, of the Very desks that go up and down, and it's extremely hard to transport those big bulky items like the speakers that weigh as much of it as an anchor, as you were talking about. It's hard, and if you just love the product and forget to think about, hey, what happens in the future downstream with Amazon, with my 3PL, can I incorporate them easily? Are they the right partner for me? If you don't have these right questions, you're setting yourself up for failure ultimately. That's why I'm excited that the conversation is shifting from just supply chain management to supply chain resilience and understanding that fully, and hopefully more education coming out on that.
Well, I mean, I think 3PLs, are reinventing themselves as solution providers, that, not just storage and box movement, because there's definitely a skill to be able to solve Amazon problems or other marketplace problems, and just the getting it right. Like if we try with 3PLs that are not Amazon savvy to skip a hop. So it's really bulky stuff, and we want to get up to Amazon. So we want to get it from the 3PL of the manufacturer to Amazon, and we print the stickers, we give them the instructions, and they just don't do it right. Like they don't do the pallet right. Like that's bad. Like, so if you have a competence at Amazon everything and you're a 3PL, it's so much more valuable than someone that's not. And I'm sure most 3PLs are somehow touching it, but you got to be good at this and understand that, the sticker game and the pallet game, and how do I get it into a certain truck as much as I can and get the lowest rates per unit up there. Because that's death.
Absolutely. And just a final question for you, Adam, who would be a best fit client to work with OCD?
I would say, Apple computer, but we're not going to get them. So it's I think I'd love to say everybody, but if you're just a brand new brand that you want to launch something with, I think it would be good to work with us on the agency side, because it's really hard for us to make a bet on unpredictable stuff, but we have no problem trying to help you grow on some kind of a fee basis, because we'll wind up creating a bunch of content and ASINs and all the stuff, and maybe we'll buy stuff, and it takes a while. And so it's best customer, I hate to exclude anybody, but we always want everybody, but it's really somebody that could probably do $100,000 minimum in revenue a year. And that's probably on the light side of it. But if we work with you, you should get a lot more than that, for sure.
Awesome. And again, you guys can find more information about OCD at omnichanneldistribution.com. I also will not spell it, but it is on the screen and will be in the description of the audio and the video experiences.
I spelled it wrong to people. It's horrible. So I have to.
It's a long name, man.
It's kind of a long name, and there's, even when I was typing it out earlier, I skipped over the R, and I was like, oh man, go back.
God.
Distribution.
I'm trying to fix some of the brand stuff, and OCD, I think people get kind of upset with. We have a brand called Plaid Beaver, believe it or not, and that gets caught up in the spam engines a lot. So I
Plaid, as in the print plaid,
like plaidbeaver.com. It's like a Shopify site, like. Yeah, well, do an email and see what gets caught up. And, Plaid Beaver has a message for you. They don't delete. But I like you guys. I want to hang out with you guys. This is great. And I know you're in Atlanta. Where are you?
I'm in Pittsburgh.
He's in Pittsburgh
you're in
right
Pittsburgh.
now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Splits his time. So sometimes he's down here, sometimes he's up there. But
I have an angry fiance that if I don't come home enough, the anger side comes out.
God, I'm telling her you.
She doesn't listen. She doesn't listen.
That's what I'm telling her.
Well, we'll just get her the highlight film.
Just give her the highlight reel.
I thought I liked you.
But I did. I saw the north, so I figured you're Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I get it. That's nice. Well, you guys are awesome. I wanna hang out, and I didn't go to Prosper this year. Sorry, I went to CES.
Yes. Well, maybe
We'll do Prosper
Yeah,
next year.
definitely do Prosper next year. And we might go to Powwow again. We haven't really talked about it yet, but that is in July this year. So it'll be even hotter than it was when we went in November. So Francois is going to melt if we do go, but I'll be in heaven. But I think it's also going to be in Miami again. I don't know. We're off topic.
Well, if it's in Miami, guys, you got to let me know.
Exactly. Well, you've got to show me some of these giant iguanas. I got to see a parrot last time. I didn't get to see an iguana. I made friends with
we have a parrot jungle not far from here, so we can help there. But great meeting you guys. And if there's anything, we can work on together, it'd be great.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for everybody who tuned in. If you guys liked what you heard today, be sure to give us a thumbs up, comment with your thoughts, share this episode with your friends, subscribe to the show, and be sure to turn on those notifications. And that way you never miss a conversation with leaders in supply chain and e-commerce like Adam Shaffer with OCD. And thank you again so much. And we will see you guys soon.